Today we're making 3 delicious vegan lunches for weight loss. Let's make magic. Today I'm showing you 4 delicious vegan and gluten-free lunches. Now some of these are really fast using some store-bought bread, but I'm also showing you one of my homemade bread recipes that is made completely from scratch, only contains 2 ingredients and ready in just a few minutes. And I'm also showing you how you can use that bread to make so many different things. And I'm also making a dip to go alongside these dishes. Here's all of the ingredients that I am using today to prepare all of these meals. And as if by magic, I'm turning all of this into this. The first meal I am sharing with you is my vegan jackfruit gyros. Each serving contains 431 calories and 18 grams of protein. And the reason why it's so high in protein is because I've added tofu to this recipe. A lot of people do replace meat with jackfruit. And jackfruit is a great substitute for meat because it's got that meaty texture. But jackfruit is actually quite low in protein, which is why I added the extra tofu. And it's very easy to prepare meals from jackfruit because a lot of places sell jackfruit in a can now. And the can that I bought actually came pre-shredded, so I didn't need to do anything but drain and rinse it. But if your can comes with whole chunks of jackfruit, then just break it apart with your fingers. I make this recipe all the time at the weekends and it is a firm favourite with me and my husband. To make this recipe, what you need to do is add a little oil to a pan. You can skip this if you want to go oil-free and save some calories. Now we're going to add some chopped onion. To save time, I have used pre-chopped frozen onion. Now we're going to add in the tofu. For this recipe, I have used smoked tofu. And this tofu is already been pressed and it's extra firm, so I don't need to press it. I really love extra firm tofu because it creates a much denser, meatier texture. And it's also much easier to slice very thinly, which is what we need to do for this recipe. So I'm slicing up some thin slices and then cutting the slices in half. Then adding those to the pan. Now I'm adding in some pre-chopped garlic that I have in my freezer. And I'm using my homemade barbecue seasoning, but I have substitutes for this in the blog post if you don't want to make my seasoning recipe. Now we're adding in the drained, rinsed jackfruit. To give it a nice smoky, salty flavour, we are creating a lovely marinade using some tamari, maple syrup and tomato paste. And give that a good stir. And that is the vegan jackfruit gyros meat pretty much ready. And the smell of all of this cooking is making me pretty hungry, so it's time for a smoothie break. Here's my green thickies as always. I drink these Monday to Friday. And not only do my green thickies help me to lose over 56 pounds, but they give me an incredible amount of energy. So that's why I continue to drink them. And if you'd like my green thickies 7-day meal plan, you can get that in the description below. And here's a little behind the scenes shot of my messy kitchen. Now we're making a delicious ranch dressing to be served with the gyros. Each serving contains 25 calories and 2 grams of protein. This recipe is so fast to make and absolutely delicious. The first thing we're going to do is grate half a cucumber into a bowl, and this is really fast. At this point, a lot of recipes would tell you to squeeze out the water from the cucumber, but that liquid contains so many nutrients and I want to keep those nutrients in the dip, so I'm keeping it in. Now we add in our plant-based yogurt. I'm using soy yogurt. Add in some minced garlic, some lemon juice, my homemade ranch seasoning. I have this recipe and substitutions on my blog post, some sea salt and a pinch of pepper. Give this a mix and it is done. Let's store that for later. You can make these flatbreads whatever size you want. Normally these flatbreads contain 102 calories per serving and 1 gram of protein, but today I have doubled this recipe to make larger flatbreads. These flatbreads are absolutely delicious and my kids go crazy for this recipe. And can you believe that these flatbreads only contain 2 ingredients? Flour, and I have used gluten-free flour, but you can use whatever flour you want, and I've used plant-based yogurt. I'm going to cook these in a variety of different ways, but one of the ways I'm going to cook them is in a pan. You don't actually need any oil to cook these, but my pan suggests that I use oil, so I'm spraying my pan with a little oil spray. And I'm just adding a pinch of salt. This recipe is so fast to make, it comes together in just a couple of minutes, especially when you make a smaller quantity. Today I'm making a massive quantity because I want to try lots of different varieties of bread. So literally all you do is you add the yogurt into the flour and you just stir it. Keep mixing until it's all incorporated. Then divide the mixture into quarters or however many sections you want and roll each section into a ball. And then all you do is just put the ball in the pan and just squash it down. You can use a spatula or you can use your hands. I find it easier to use my hands. This first flatbread is actually going to be a pizza base because it's that big. Cook it over a medium to high heat for just a couple of minutes and then turn it over when it's brown underneath. I started out cooking all of these flatbreads on my portable stove, which actually doesn't get hot enough to give the bread that lovely char-grilled look. So after I'd done my pizza base, I then moved over to my stove to cook these on a medium to high heat so I could get those lovely blackened sections of the flatbread. I then divided the mixture again to make 2 smaller flatbreads this time, and I made a third one in a smaller pan. And I'm just giving them a little spray of oil so when I flip them over they are oiled on the other side as well. I'm also showing you how I use this recipe to make bread in my air fryer, and I often do this for my kids because it's so fast. They absolutely adore it when I make dough balls for them. So you take your mixture and you just make little tiny balls, and you can either bake these in your oven or your air fryer. And I'm just going to show you that you can also make flatbread in the air fryer as well. So I'm pushing down the dough into an air fryer safe container, spray it with a little oil and then pop it in the air fryer. Give the flatbreads a flip. Now I'm showing you the difference that cooking these flatbreads on a higher heat on my stove made to them. They've got those lovely char-grilled marks on them. Here's another different thing you can do with this recipe. You can actually make burger buns. And I do this all the time for my kids as well. And it's so much cheaper than buying gluten-free burger buns from the store. So you just shape the mixture into smaller rounds, circular rounds. Push them down, cook them on a high heat. Now I'm just giving the dough balls a little turn over and they are done. They go a little brown in the air fryer, but they don't have those char-grilled marks on them. Now my flatbreads are done, turning over my burger buns, and I think they look so much nicer when they're done in the pan. Now I'm whipping up a quick batch of sweet potato fries to add to the side of my burger. Peel a few sweet potatoes and slice them into fry-shaped wedges, and then layer them all in a single layer, either straight in your air fryer basket or in a silicone container. And you can also do this in the oven. And I'm spraying them with a little oil, adding some sea salt and a little homemade barbecue seasoning. Now we are making a vegan egg sandwich. Yes, you can still eat egg as a vegan. You can make your own vegan egg. This tastes exactly like egg. So if you're missing egg, you don't need to miss out anymore. I make this recipe all the time. Sometimes I have it in a sandwich, sometimes I have it on a salad, and it takes literally no time at all. Each serving contains 400 calories and 15 grams of protein, so it's a lovely high protein dish as well because it's made from tofu. So the first thing you need to do is to cut your tofu into small cubes, or you could just literally rip it apart. Now we're slicing up a small green onion or a spring onion. I'm going to be using some vegan mayonnaise, some sea salt, and my homemade egg seasoning. And this egg seasoning contains a special ingredient which makes it taste exactly like egg called black salt. So if you're missing the taste of egg, then this is the secret. And that is it. You just mix it all together and your egg mixture is ready. So let's start to assemble our sandwiches. To make the egg sandwich, I'm taking a store-bought gluten-free bread roll, adding some lettuce to it, and then just piling on the egg mixture. That's it, all done. Next, I'm showing you my homemade vegan burger with my homemade burger patty and my homemade burger bun. The homemade burger patty comes in at 159 calories and 8 grams of protein, but you can use a store-bought vegan burger if you choose to save you time. So now my homemade burger buns are done. It's time to assemble the burger, so I'm just going to slice up a little tomato. And I've shown you how to make the burger patty in a different video, but you can always click on my link below to get the recipe on my blog, and you can see the recipe on there. But you can always click the link below to get the recipe on my blog. So I'm just adding the patty to one of the bread buns, adding in some tomato, some pickled onion, some of my delicious homemade ranch dressing, some lettuce, and put the other burger bun on top. It's as simple as that. Next, we are making the smoked vegan tempeh BLT sandwich, and each serving comes in at 454 calories and 15 grams of protein. I'm using some of my tempeh bacon for this recipe, and I've shown you how to do that in a previous video. But again, links to the recipe will be in the description below. For this recipe, I'm using a store-bought gluten-free panini. I'm adding in some vegan mayonnaise, adding my vegan tempeh bacon, some sliced tomato, lettuce, and that is done. Now we're on to the most delicious recipe, the vegan jackfruit gyros. Take one of your delicious homemade flatbreads, and as you can see, they're very bendable, so they make the perfect hearty wrap for these gyros. Layer on some of your jackfruit mixture, add some chopped tomato, some pickled onion, lettuce, and some of that delicious ranch dressing again. Now just roll it up and eat it. If you want to present these gyros already rolled up, then you'll need to add something to the bottom to keep them closed up. I'm adding in some string, but you could use tin foil or kitchen foil. So good. All of these lunches are based on my healthy weight plant-based plate model that helps you lose weight and fill you up until your next meal without having to snack. And I have a blog post that explains how my complete system works. And now that you've made some quick vegan lunches, you might be wanting some quick vegan dinners. So go and check out my 3 quick vegan dinners for weight loss. That should appear on the screen now. And now it's your turn to go and make magic with food.
The magical life of